Yesterday, basically, we were at that point that where we have seen that how we can generate our web service description language through Salesforce and how we can use that, right? And we were at that point where we generated SOAP WSDL from basically the setup, and under setup, basically the API section. Now, once we did that, what we did, we imported the WSDL, and by default, we got this many methods, right? And what we did after that, we try to utilize those methods. The basics of the method was the login method. With that login method, we tried to hit our Salesforce, because this all particular thing, what we are currently going through, it's all about inbound. That means the Salesforce would be the receiver, right? Or the subscriber, right? So the inbound case, the scenario will work like that. And the last question which has been asked by Rupa, that what would be the outbound case, right? So if it is an outbound case, what our reply was that we would be, not Rupa, I think Prashun or someone actually asked the question. So for the outbound things, basically, we would be hitting the WSDL, which should be provided by the third-party system. And once the third-party system WSDL we will invoke, we need to pass the session ID or the authentication details through the header information. So this is a section, basically session header, where you can type all the user ID, password, or the session ID details, and you can hit the third-party system as they want, right? So this is the mechanism, basically, we establish the connection through the SOAP. Now coming to the other point, so this is all about our system generated WSDL. But what about I wrote a Apex class, and the same Apex class I would like to use as a WSDL. So that would be a customized thing, right? To do that, what you have to do, you just go to the Apex class section. Give me a second. So to do that, as I'm telling, that you go to this Apex class section over here, and under the Apex class, Apex class, okay, Apex classes. If you go over here, so what I did, I just wrote down a simple class. Okay, let's assume that what I want to generate a WSDL, and that WSDL will be consumed or will be taken by the third-party system, and they will hit the Salesforce system, and they will be creating a case, a simple case. Okay, to do that, what I did, I have written one piece of code. Okay, so what I have written a simple Apex class. So this is my Apex class, SOAP API. What is there in SOAP API? Nothing. So first of the thing is that any web services class, as you know, that it should be declared as global. Why it is global? Because this particular class should be accessible by the entire Salesforce package. When a third-party system will use that, they should be able to access this class. To do that, we have to declare this class as global. You cannot declare public, you cannot declare private, any type of access modifier you cannot use except global. Once you do that, as this is a web service, just declare this particular class as a web service. Okay, this is the generic syntax you have to use. And after that, this particular class you can define as a static. And what are the parameter you would be able to receive from the third-party system? These are the parameters you need to define over here, so that you can tell to the third-party system that, hey, third-party system, please send me the origin, the description, and the subject. If you send me these particular three details, then I will be able to create a case. Whatever the details you will be sending, with that details, I will be able to create the case. And then what I will do, I will return the case ID. Okay, whatever the case I will generate, I will immediately return to you that particular ID. So this is the class I have written, and what I did, I just did a generate WSDL. After that, the same logic. I went to SOAP, and inside the SOAP UI, I just imported this particular Apex class. So I have given a name that particular WSDL as SOAP API from Apex. This is the name basically I have given. And I imported the same fashion. I went to SOAP, I went to browse, and I went to that particular folder where I have kept it, where I have restored it. So if you go over here and if you go into my personal folder, integration training, okay, I can see that there is a file called SOAP API from apex.xml. Okay. So same thing basically I have imported over here, and this particular import gave me this particular SOAP format. Good, right? Now what happened? The similar way we need to test how we did yesterday the same way. So I need to first make a contract. The first time contract will be always with the login method. Now your question can be that, hey Shantu, yesterday we were using that particular session ID. Can't we use the same session ID? No, because I already showed you that particular session settings. Remember the session settings, and the session settings tells you that within 24, the session basically is valid for 24 hours, and we have already crossed 24 hours. So the previous session ID won't work in this case. What will happen? I'll go to shopper and I will try to hit this particular login method again. And once I hit the login method, what I will get a session ID again. Take the same session ID over here and use the same session ID basically in the request. Okay. So if you just request the same session ID, this will give you that particular contract. Okay. Once you give that, now you populate the details, what the origin, description, and subject, because my class is basically expecting these three parameters: origin, description, and subject. Once I do that, then what I will do, I will just type Apex 4 or something, and I will just write this is 4, right? So you just remember for your identification purpose this 4 thing, and then I will hit that. And you see, I got a particular result. This is what? This is your case ID. By what mechanism we are getting this? By this particular return mechanism, because this is returning this case ID and we are receiving this, right? Now, copying the same. Yep.
You guys are saying that the voice is a little bit low, so maybe you are a little bit far from the
Or really my voice is low? Now is it good?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. So please let me know. Yeah, thank you. So what happened actually, so this particular case, what the session ID actually I have taken from the login method, and from login method, I have got the first contract and the same session ID I am using, and I am passing the same parameters which my class is expecting. Okay. Once I just do that and I hit that particular green color, that means I have sent the request to my Salesforce org, to this particular org, and I got this particular response, this case ID. So how I am getting this case ID? Because I am returning this case ID. Now what you do, you just type that particular ID and see whether your case got generated or not. See here, so see, this is the case, right? That's what I have requested, or the third-party system has requested. Apex, so case 4, Apex case 4, right? So this is the mechanism where you can write your own custom class, and with that custom class, basically you can generate a WSDL, and the same WSDL you can give to third-party system. The third-party system will be consuming that WSDL and hitting your system and pass all the necessary details which your system is expecting and do that operation. I hope everyone is clear. Okay. Now the thing is that one particular thing I would like to share in this particular things. So if you see this particular SOAP API from Apex, this is nothing but also a WSDL file, right? Now, if you see this WSDL file, watch over here, the SOAP address location. Okay. So this is the location basically I have given into my SOAP target or the target URL. Okay, so this AP6, this is nothing but our Salesforce instance. I hope you all are aware about the Salesforce instance. Our all Salesforce org basically runs into a particular instance, which is completely controlled by the Salesforce organization or company, right? So this particular instance, basically, we need to provide when you would be writing your own customized Apex class. But for the WSDL which we got or which we generated yesterday, right? So that time it was a different one, right? What was there that time, we just passed the complete URL what we have basically access to login for. Okay, so this is when we would be using a system generated WSDL, and with the system generated method we want to access. But after that, if we want to do any type of operation using our own Apex classes, you have to provide the particular instance URL. Okay. Now, this is all about our SOAP WSDL and your customized WSDL and how we can hit those and how we can get the response. Now, your question should be, how would be the performance? Obviously, so always in integration, always remember the performance is a major factor. Okay. Now, considering the performance, SOAP API is giving you many parameters. Let's get back to our this particular PPT. So what happened? There are limitations. There are limitations and there are performance. So if you see in SOAP, basically, if you can modify a particular Apex class and use the gzip compression method. So gzip compression is a method. If you use this particular method, what will happen? This all request, basically whatever you would be receiving, it will be all compressed. Okay, and if it will be all compressed, then automatically your performance will be better, because you will not have the message body is that much broad or that much big if you use this particular gzip compression. Second is that the query more and query locator. These three things are very much important. If you go to our SOAP and if you see over here the query things, right? So if you see over here the query things, you can see here three parameters or three methods. One is your query, one is your query all, and one is your query more. What is the significance? Simple. Query is nothing but to retrieve the details, to get the details from Salesforce system. To get any type of details, you will use this particular query. You will be passing the necessary details in the query string and you would be retrieving the details from Salesforce. What about query all? Suppose you have deleted some of the records. Suppose you are into account and you have, or you are into case and you have deleted some of the cases. Now, what happened once you delete some of the cases, those cases will go and stay into your recycle bin, correct? If that is the case, and if you use query all, what will happen? This particular query all will give you all the case IDs details which are there into the Salesforce or along with which are there into your recycle bin as well. Coming to query more, let's assume that you do have, or let's just take an example. Okay, let's take an example in Delhi Metro. Okay, there are millions of transactions takes place while public use the gate and board into the metro. Okay, and there will be millions of transactions, and among millions of transactions there can be thousands or there can be lakhs of transactions declined. What can happen? Because the card is not valid, the gate is not valid, due to many reasons, that but some of the transactions or a good amount of transactions can be declined. So now let's assume that those particular transactions which got declined, I want to push them. I want to push into my Salesforce system as at the end of the day with a nightly badge of fashion. How we will do that? If you will use a simple SOAP mechanism, you will use a simple login method, and then you will try to push those thousands, 10,000 or 50,000 of records. Definitely it is not going to work. So to do that, you have to use this particular two parameters or two methods. One is your query first, and then you have to use query more query locator. So what will happen over here? What will happen over here? First, that particular query, the query will use and it will pull all the customers or all the cases from the system. After that, it will check that if it is done. If it is done means all the 10,000 records are done. It will break, it will come out of the loop. But if it is not done, then what it will do, it will go to query more and then it will execute query locator method. So why we are doing this? We are doing this because Salesforce has a particular limitation of batch size of 500. The default batch size is 500 and the minimum is 200 and maximum is 2000. So if my record count, if my decline transaction record count is only within 2000 or 2000, I do not have to use query more. I do not have to use query locator. Okay, I can simply execute the query operation, and with this particular query, I can achieve all my details. Let's assume my records are more than 10,000. My decline transaction is more than 10,000. Then I have to use this particular query more query locator. What query more query locator will do? It will extract after 2000 record, it will just retrieve the next 2001 to 4000, 2001 to 3999 records. Okay, so next 2000 record. So next 2000 record, basically it would be executing through this query more query locator method. Okay, if you do that, then this will execute successfully one by one. And in that fashion, if you have 1 lakh records, 10 lakh records, you don't have to worry. With this particular SOAP integration, just you can use these two methods and you can achieve that particular thing. Okay. So this is all, and this is all about our performance. Now, what about the limitation? As I told to you that SOAP do have some limitation, and one of the major limitation is basically the API limit usage. Okay, so if you go to company information, if you go to setup, and under setup, basically if you go to company information, from the company information you can get that what are the usage you have already completed. Okay, so inside the company information you can get the details, but in general, so I sorry, not need to go over there. As you can see the screenshot. Okay, so in the company information, if you go to usage based entitlements, you can see that how many API calls are allowed and just a frequency. So as per my org, basically monthly I am allowed 450,000 API calls to make it. So this API calls is a cumulative number. Suppose I do have 3 or 4 system. I do have my ATM machine. From ATM machine, basically I'm inserting my debit card. From that particular debit card has been read by the ATM machine, and then the request is going to the banking API. That means the banking system. From the banking system, again it may go to some other external system. From other external system, it may go to some other external system. So all will be counted as part of your this particular allowance. So you do not have to cross, or you should not cross this particular limitation. First thing. Second thing is that this API limit is always based upon your user license. So there are two major user license which we use in general. One is your enterprise edition and one is your unlimited edition, right? So if your user number is 5 in the enterprise edition, basically the API limit will be 5,000 within 24 hours. If your users are 5, you are using the unlimited edition, that means in 24-hour span, you can use up to 25,000 API calls. So this is the API usage limit which you have to remember. So just take this scenario. The Howrah station introduced basically a new ticket vending machine for traveling in train. Imagine lakhs of people comes and swipe their cards to put the cash to purchase a journey ticket. And there are many
Yes, Santa. Guys, looks like some issue with Santa. Just wait for some time.
share the screen and share it. Then can you please confirm me that whether you're able to see this?
Yes, you can start.
Okay, good. Okay, so these are the then I was talking about this usage limit and this Howrah station example. So you were able to hear me till that particular point, right?
Right.
Okay. So I now the last section, that how you can debug. So suppose you are integrating two system with SOAP using the SOAP API, but how you can debug that. See, for always remember one thing, guys, that you must have to debug through the SOAP request and response. Once two connection, I mean two system basically are using a WSDL file and passing the data through this particular WSDL, what will happen internally? They will generate this SOAP message. So the message will looks like this. Okay. So the message, whatever internally will generate, that will have an envelope, that will have an header, that will have an body. Okay. SOAP header, SOAP body, all this stuff will be there. And these particular details basically you can get in your log file or in the external system log file. But this is the only format of the request and response you should be debugging all the time in case you are using a WSDL file. Apart from that, there is another third-party tool called TCP-mon. Okay, so if you install that TCP-mon, that would be ideal to give you the details that what is the message request and response actually passed. Many times what can happen, an external system actually requests something and Salesforce is giving response, but external system is not receiving that response. So always the external system will tell that hey, you people are not sending the response properly. What can we do? Okay, so the integration, that time it becomes a blame game. The Salesforce system will tell the external third party, it is your problem, look into your side. The other party will always tell your system is a problem, you are not able to generate or send the message properly, so go and debug. So this is the proof, this is the SOAP message, or this is the TCP mon, where you can get the details and you can directly tell them that, see, this is the SOAP envelope. Once I got your request, I was able to generate this particular response and I was sending this particular response. Now your system was not able to capture this response and process that. So go and look into your side. Similarly, when the third party system is requesting you and you won't get a proper message, you can see that the SOAP message got generated from the third party system. After that, your Salesforce system is not able to capture that. That means it's your problem. It's your Salesforce or problem. You need to debug. You need to look into your side, right? So this is the main mechanism how you can debug a particular WSDL or web services architecture through the SOAP message. So that's all about the WSDL, the SOAP, and the web services. Okay, so the next topic is basically the REST API. Before doing that, I do have 10 minutes of time, I guess.
Yeah.
After that, it will end.
So Santa, let's focus. One question was there from Rupa, and we will start the REST API session from the news session, a new session.
Yep.
Okay. So Rupa has asked one question later. We have login method only enterprise WSDL. Can't we have in our custom WSDL as well?
I show you that, right? So I showed that particular thing to you, that if you create Apex class and with this particular Apex class, you generated the WSDL and you just give this particular WSDL file to them. Similarly, if you want to invoke your login method over here, you just write down all the structure, what you need from the external system to invoke. Write down that, generate the WSDL and give it to them. They will consume that, and with that particular consumption, they can do all the operation which you want customized manner. Does that answer your question?
Okay. Yes. Okay. So I think we have done with the SOAP API session. Let me share another link for that REST API. Within 1 minute, actually, we can start that. Okay, because this session will end in like a maximum 5 minutes. So better we can go with the new session, right?
Yeah. So you people, if you have any other question, you just we do have some couple of minutes where we can address all the questions basically. And if you do not have,
Ayush is asking, that means custom WSD will have location of a Apex class for the login.
That's true. So if I'm not sure, Ayush, whether you were able to follow me or not. So if you see this particular custom WSDL file, right? So just you generate the custom Apex class, generate the WSDL file, okay? And after you generate the WSDL file, try to explore that WSDL file. You will be able to see that particular link, that particular the class details. So what I wrote basically the message return and then your case details, case origin. Okay, so everything is basically integrated into this class. See here the origin, the description, the subject. So write and do whatever you want, and it will take all the reference for your org, and you can do those operations. And as we told that this is a version of your as we told that this, so remember, we just talked about this is not our partner WSDL, right? So this is one of our examples of our enterprise WSDL, right? So this is all strongly typed. So whatever you just wrote it down, those all basically will be strongly typed over here. And once those are strongly typed, you can use them. Does that answer your question, Ayush?
Good. Okay. So let